Charlie, do we have one of these?
I'll explain when we
Okay.
come to recess. It's my fault. I'll explain what happened.
All right. Motion, or do I just bring it up?
I'd say it's 10:04 and we're out of recess.
All right. All those in favor, please say aye. No, any opposed? All right, out of recess. All right, we'll continue with our budget workshop. Next item we have is the district attorney's office. Will Thompson is here to fill. However you'd like to present, I understand, have you made any slides on this?
So yeah, I'd sent all the budget packages out. A couple of them I was in on flight and it didn't go through. So
Okay,
Will just has really jumped on it and helped me get through that this week. That was my fault. So I have it here. I'm updating the slides.
okay.
So
Hard copies?
I'll take, yeah, you can give it to, I'll take responsibility for not getting that done. It's my fault. But, and then we can come up, you'll see it here pretty soon, but he's got the hard
It's
copy.
small, but I tried to get it all on one sheet. Try to get each sheet all on one sheet. Am I gonna need my magnifying glass? Don't worry about it. We'll just tell you what it says. Thank you. And I think only one contact here and my regular eye here, so.
Sir.
Go back.
Regular.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nope, my good eye. That's my reading eye, and it's changed.
Just, no,
You?
I'll pull it up on the TV too, Jeff, just so
Okay,
normal presentations. I'm fixing.
I got it. One of these for you. You already printed this, didn't you? There's a big.
Yes, sir.
Okay, don't want to be left out. That one's your size. I can read. Big print, you can read that. Of the workman's comp budget.
I don't see exhibit numbers on these.
Okay. See where it makes sense to start. So I suspect that the challenging part of this is going to be payroll. And so I got to this sheet here, which I guess is the second sheet on the Excel workbook that was sent out. And how our people gets paid is a little bit more complicated, and I couldn't do it in two columns. And so I just made these next two, okay? This one is attorneys and the other one is everybody else. The one with the red square is the everybody else. The red square is SB 22 money for the paralegals because they can't pay paralegals SB 22 money. So I figured before somebody forgets that, I'll just block all that out. Now I will tell you that this indicates that this line includes SB 22 money. The numbers that were in there don't match up with, not even close to what I have with SB 22 money or without SB 22 money. Okay, and so I called and asked 3 times, and I was assured that these numbers for current annual salary, in fact, do not include SB 22 money. So I don't know if I'm wrong, but that's the assumption I'm going on.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay,
So you're
That's
using
good.
this sheet is what you're referring.
this sheet, okay, but you notice the little asterisks, and there's a note in there, I don't know if it made this, those
Yes.
little asterisks seem to indicate that those current annual salary numbers
Yeah.
include what
They
those
don't.
people are getting for SB 22. It doesn't.
Got it.
Okay,
It just really means they're eligible for it. Not even that?
I
Yeah,
guess.
Yeah, I bet that's what it means.
I
They
guess,
just
okay,
noted it
but I'm
wrong.
glad to hear that is accurate, because otherwise I thought we're
For
gonna
sure.
hit an immediate
Yeah.
impasse, but good, okay, so. Pay for people in the district attorney's office, the bulk of it's county money, okay, which y'all worry about. But then there's a whole bunch of other pots. There is SB 22 money, which gross is $275,000 a year. A couple of years ago, when they implemented this thing, I asked, because I'm not smart enough to calculate it, okay, how much can I actually spend and then still be covered by the time you add on FICA and FUTA and all those other things? And I was told $215,535. And so that's kind of what I work with. That way I know there's enough extra to cover all the FICA, FUTA, all that other crap, because I'm not smart enough to calculate that every time. Okay. And so on this, we'll just talk about attorneys, this sheet here. This one, Carrie. One has all the attorneys. Okay. I just kind of created my own sheet, and over the years, it's become kind of a mishmash, because, you know, somebody would leave and they were getting this much SB 22 money, and then we'd replace them, and there was county money, and they weren't getting any SB 22 money. So you had some people who were getting none, some people who were getting 30,000 a year in SB 22 money, but 20,000 less in county money. And so, okay, let's kind of clear the decks and get this kind of more even. Okay. And so, I just basically went down and put what I think, it's not gonna much matter to me because I'm so shorthanded. I've got lots of extra payroll I'm not spending, but Miss Donica would kind of like to ultimately end that. Okay. And divvied up the SB 22 money. We also get state supplement, which is kind of like SB 22 light, but it's been around for 20 years. It used to be 27.5. When the population went over 50,000, it went to 27,000. And basically, I used all of that for paralegals because I can't use SB 22 money for paralegals. So that's a blank column for the attorneys, but it's all spent on the next sheet that we'll get to for the paralegals. Okay. And I came up with a total. In addition to that, what's not in here for the attorneys is the county longevity pay, that $100 a year, nor the ADAs once they have, and it's not in here and we really don't have any control over it, but just so you know, once they have 5 years service as either an assistant district attorney or a public defender, I don't think we have anybody who has any longevity with that. The state starts paying them $20 per year of service every month. Okay, so in year 6, the state starts paying them $100 a month. And year 7, every year that goes up by $20 a month. Okay, we don't have any control over it. It's passed through, but it's there. Okay. And so, that is the attorney money. If we were to sort of level out who's getting how much in county money and SB 22 money, whatever. Okay. And then down here below, you see this SB 22 total, SB 22 remaining. I kind of stuck a formula in there just to keep up with it, so that it automatically subtracts out. It starts with that 215, 535, because I'm starting with that. That's what I can spend and still be good with FICA and all that other stuff. And then I put in where it is automatically subtracting out whatever's put in that SB 22 column, both on this sheet and on the next sheet. Okay, I was quite proud of myself being able to make a formula that covered two different sheets. Okay, I was, it's pretty, that's really, it's a stretch goal. Okay. So the next sheet I have, and I had to put initials out there just so I can keep track of who I'm talking about, especially because on the next sheet, just so I knew kind of what they're ending up with total, I stuck in a column for state supplement, the longevity, that's county longevity. I never did get an answer on where our hot check fund is.
Yeah, I'm digging into that, Will.
Okay.
It's goes back a long way of an issue that I have inherited. So,
So just for a little bit of background, back in the day, every time that somebody comes and files a hot check case with us, we tack on to, in addition to the amount of the check, when whoever wrote the hot check comes in to make good or what have you, in addition to the amount of the check, there's a certain fee, it's a set dollar amount, I don't remember what it is, that goes to the merchant who, for their trouble. And then there's also a chunk of money that comes to the district attorney's office. Okay. And I don't know whether it's 15 or 20 bucks a check, whatever that number is. Back in the day, that was 6 figures every year. Okay. That used to pay the office manager's salary. Okay. Nowadays, nobody writes checks. It's much, much smaller. That fund has been kind of dwindling down. Last year, we budgeted 12,000. We still file a few of them. There's still a little bit of money coming in there, but it's not anywhere near what it is. And I wasn't sure. I didn't want to budget $12,000. It isn't there. But that $12,000 is not going to make a huge difference in the scope of things.
yes, sir. I think my uncovering of all this, it's been coming out of the general fund over the last 20 something years. We do have a trust account for this amount. It sits in one of our mini bank statements, but the trust account's negative. Obviously it gets consolidated with the other trust accounts. So if you look at the top line item, all trusts are positive, but I don't know if we can be cutting it out of the general fund in this situation. We budgeted here, but typically it would be offset by this trust account, not the general fund should be paying the 12 grand. So,
Well, my understanding is that theoretically, to the extent that we collect
Yes,
these
sir.
fees on hot check cases, that's what they're supposed to be
yes,
used
sir,
for.
100%.
Okay.
That
Now,
should go
what we're
into-
actually collecting in there,
Yes, sir.
I don't know.
Yes, sir.
I know we still do some of those, but not anywhere near what
Yes,
is.
sir. I think you're correct. I think there was a bad movement from when it came into the general fund. It should have been moved to the trust account based on activity in a month, and that seemed to have not happened in the last 20 years.
So it's not,
Not big.
I just took the same dollars that we
Yes,
had last year, the same 12,000, said, okay,
Yes, sir.
let's just assume that we use 12,000 for that, and I split it up. You can see it in here for each of the paralegals, it's $2,000 a year.
Yeah, I
Okay,
got it.
so that's not there, it's not gonna be, the end of the world, but that's just what that
Yes,
number is. Cell phones. I think this is a slight increase. Right now, our investigators get a cell phone allowance. For some reason, it's half that, it's 600 or something. What I'm told is if you get a cell phone allowance, it's 85 bucks a month times 12 is 1,020 bucks. Okay. The people who actually use their cell phone for work, the investigator, definitely the victim assistance coordinator, she lives on that thing. I now have a county phone. Okay. And so they weren't paying me a cell phone allowance anyway. I think when I was the first assistant, I was getting a cell phone allowance. But so you have three there, the two investigators, the victim assistance coordinator. The elected has the county phone, so they don't need it. The guy's paying for that. well, I don't know where that is in the budget, but anyway.
Yeah, you're fine.
But the other person who probably really does significant amount of county business on the cell phone is gonna be the first assistant. Okay, they're the ones who get those calls at 2 o'clock in the morning from a cop who's on somebody's doorstep wanting to know, you know, what do I do or what have you. Okay,
He's gonna make it out, right?
so I think on the big sheet, I asked for,
Yeah, but it's at home, so, you asked him to increase.
the 4080. Now that's 4 times 1,020. 2 investigators, 1 VAC, 1 first assistant. Okay, so I think that's where we were, last year. Then operating equipment, there's probably duplication here because I talked to Tiffany in IT and she, like a month or so ago, maybe more than a month ago, she sent me something, hey, send me your list of what you want in IT equipment or whatever. And I did. Generally, a couple of years ago, I just started getting a kind of list of how many laptops, how many scanners, how many IT things do we have? And asking to replace about a quarter of those every year so that we don't get to year 5 and suddenly somebody needs to replace all of them. Okay, and there's a certain amount of attrition as you go on, you know, somebody's computer will crash or this or that or what have you, and that, you know, happens. But I just started, so the IT department is probably asking for money for this same thing. And I asked, you know, well, I'm budgeting that. I said, well, they asked me to turn in an operating equipment budget, so I'm gonna turn in an operating equipment budget, but I, you know, full disclosure, she may be asking for money to do the same stuff.
We'll reconcile it, Judge, just to be sure that we're not.
Double listed.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Yes. I think the only other thing is, well, let's go back to the original big sheet. You know, we have this list of all the line items under 101, which is county money, and then a lot of the same items under Fund 975, which would be forfeiture money. Okay, there's limits on what we can spend forfeiture money on. It's supposed to be a law enforcement purpose, which, you know, paying people is fine, sending people to training is fine, buying paper clips is probably not. Okay, and so I did, and I have every year, although I've generally not used it, I have every year included in the budget a chunk of forfeiture money. Really, 2 things from forfeiture money. One is a chunk that can be used to supplement payroll if we have a need to do that. Well, in the last few years, I don't know that we've actually spent any forfeiture money in payroll because we've been shorthanded, and so there's been, you know, money that's not getting spent in payroll anyway. And then a chunk of money to buy equipment things and mostly not for us, mostly for law enforcement, like, you know, when the sheriff comes and says, hey, we really need to get a drone, but we don't have enough money, or they want to replace the canine or what have you. I know in the past, we've used forfeiture money to help acquire a drug dog. We've used it to help acquire drones. We've used it to help acquire ballistic shields so that we have one out on each ship, you know, things like that. Okay. And so that is other entities, the very last line on the great big sheet on the second page, that other entities, at least in my mind, unless I'm putting it in the wrong place, my thought behind that 20,000 is so that when some equipment need comes up, we can help with whatever law enforcement agency. It's not really not equipment that we need to buy for that. And I think I did stick in 5,000 if we need it to cover any excess in training and travel. Okay. If Ms. Donegan is successful in hiring a bunch of new people, most of them are probably going to need to go to what we call baby prosecutor school. It's a week-long thing put on by TDCAA. Those probably cost the time you pay the travel and mileage and meals on, it's probably about $1,000 a pop. Okay. So what else was there? I tried to, under dues and subscriptions, I tried to allocate what I was told is our cut for Odyssey, Guardify, Lexus. Lexus is expensive, you know, those things.
Mhm.
So that is in those numbers. Let's see, that falls in, I think most of it falls in dues and subscriptions. Okay. The other thing that I guess is worth talking about is the part-time helpline. It's an inch or two down on the big sheet. At one time, a few years ago, we have Bob Shell as part-time. Okay. He does all of our civil stuff. He's the one who fields y'all's trivia questions and public information act requests when somebody wants, you know, a boatload of whatever.
He's a big help too.
He also does our forfeiture stuff, all that forfeiture money. That's where it comes up. He's the only guy in the office who brings in more than he takes out. Okay, by a long way. And then for a while, we had another part-time attorney, Amy Messer, came and said, "Hey, I'm kind of semi-retired at the lake, but my husband's at work all day. I'm bored. You know, pay me $50 an hour, and I'll come help." And so at one point, we budgeted a little over $200,000 a year for part-time help. Amy decided, I don't know if her husband retired, but she retired. We still have Bob. Bob is not going to stay past the end of the year. And so I've had some discussions with Miss Donica, and she can chime in here any time, but we're going to have somebody doing that civil stuff, whether it's a 40-hour a week job. I don't know. Bob was very efficient at it because Bob ran the civil division in Denton County, which is obviously much bigger than we are, for years. And so he already knew how to do it. He didn't spend a lot of time looking up, because it's all different rules, it's all civil rules, which, you know, I don't know, I'm allergic. And so Bob was probably more efficient at it than most other people that you might find and stick in it. They'll learn it, but Bob already knew it backward and forward when he got here. He just happened to retire from Denton County to our lake, and so we just got lucky. Okay, so that is one thing. And then, I don't know, Carrie, do you want to talk about your desire to have another victim assistance coordinator? Vivian is our victim assistance coordinator. She can be paid with SB 22 money. The investigators can get SB 22 money. That is, I would say it's a full-time job plus. And what we have done to sort of provide some relief there is we have 2 paralegals who work in the misdemeanors, and then we have 2 in misdemeanor, 2 in felony, and then we have 1 that does nothing but discovery, which is a full-time job and getting bigger, and then 1 that does all the filing, getting ready to go to trial, witness list, expert notice, and all of that, subpoena requests, and all of that stuff. The ones who were the least taxed, I guess I would say, were the 2 in misdemeanor. Okay. And so we have sort of taken one of those 2 and said, well, you need to spend part of your time helping Vivian with all the stuff she's got to stay, you know, and every crime against a person, if they want it, well, first of all, we got to contact them. We were required by law to confer with them about plea offers and deals. And if they want notice of every setting, we're supposed to give them notice of every setting so they have an opportunity to be here. And when we get ready to go to trial, there's a bunch of time spent getting them in there to prepare, especially children. It's a lot of work, and many of them are very transient. You know, they don't they haven't had the same phone number for 10 years. A lot of times they don't have a phone or their phone is turned off because they didn't pay the bill. They're waiting till they get paid again. A lot of them you can only communicate on Facebook Messenger. It becomes a bigger job than you would think. Okay, because we're not dealing with people who are as easy to find as we are. Anyway, we've been able to provide some relief because the two paralegals that were handling the misdemeanor things, it wasn't two full-time jobs. Okay. Let me say, I'm hopeful that that will change soon. Okay, because a lot of the function of that was what was and wasn't happening in the county court. Okay, so it's a long-winded way of saying those two may not have as much extra time on their hands to help with, and she was also spending some time helping Bob with civil things because there's notices and things that have to get filed and all that. Okay, so Carrie, I don't know if you want to jump in here on what your thoughts are.
Yeah, so my goal, my vision, is to do it a little bit differently and do it more of a team approach and having, the lawyers, the legal assistant and the, victim coordinator for each of the felony courts. And then that bleeding over some to, misdemeanor court. I think the contact with victims in misdemeanor court, is less onerous than it is with felonies.
Absolutely.
And so I think that's the plan that I have, and I think it's going to be a lot more efficient. You know, it's easy to say that, I got this ID. Whether it's work or not is a whole nother thing, but I know y'all appreciate that. With reference to the civil attorney, I do have an attorney who has agreed to serve in that role. Bob has agreed to help with the training of that lawyer. That lawyer is a extremely seasoned lawyer who I think is going to be efficient and helpful in that regard.
Maybe full-time or part-time?
He's willing to do it either way.
Yes,
Charlie, he's willing to do it either way. I think it's a full-time job, and Bob Shell has told me that it's 100% a full-time job. He and I've talked about it, and like I said, he is willing to help in the training, but the lawyer that I have in mind is not gonna require a whole lot of training. He's gonna be able to, I think, jump in there pretty quickly and be an asset to all of us. Anyway, so it may be a realignment of, I'm not good at numbers, and so I'm gonna need some help in that regard. And maybe Charlie, you're my guy.
Yes, ma'am.
If I could come down, maybe you and I could set aside
Yes,
some time. And I think Will, his input would be helpful,
Yes, ma'am.
obviously. But I just think that's something that I want to kind of give you my vision, and then you tell me how we can reallot money. I think we can save the county a bunch of money if we can do this, where we move it more quickly to resolution. And I think those people can help us in that regard, because what we find is that the inability to contact those people holds us up, and it gets us to where we're having to pay criminal defense lawyers more, because we're having to keep coming back, and and having to pay everybody more because we keep having to come back. And if we can do that, I think we can do it more efficiently. But again, that's my dream. It's not reality yet, but I hope that, by the into 2027, we've accomplished it. But initially, I would like to add another victim coordinator. I think it's critical that we do that to enable us to.
Would those typically be paid the same?
I think so.
Yes.
I think so.
And I will point out, I kind of started and I rambled a little bit, that there's still budgeted as we sit today, according to this, $175,000 for part-time help. Okay,
Yes,
which
and
we're not
yes.
spending anywhere near that. We're not paying Bob that.
So I
Okay.
think, yeah, I think we can move some money around and accomplish that. And like I said, and I need to have a little more discussion, and I'm not trying to be, hiding the ball, but, the lawyer, like I said, the lawyer says I can do either way, part-time or full-time. I just need to get him committed one way or the other on that. And then you and I can look at the numbers, how we allocate that.
Yes, ma'am.
So again, I don't think I'm really asking you for more money. I'm just asking to allocate it differently.
I'm gonna go ahead
And
and
it is another position.
I'm gonna go ahead and set it in here because from a head count perspective.
Sure, yes, please.
Again, these are all
Of
draft.
course,
numbers.
with your approval.
Yeah. Sure. None of these
You
are-
guys have to say, but I think it's gonna be helpful to you all too. Ultimately, I think your bottom line is gonna be prettier if we can eventually, give me some time. Don't say a woman come in here and said she's gonna help us and she didn't. Which probably exactly how Will feels. He's been a
Honeymoons are short.
incredibly, I know, but he's been so wonderful at helping me. I can't say enough about how helpful he's been, and inclusive in help and, letting me be a part of this. Which makes a huge difference.
Yes.
In how I can accomplish it is because I have his support. It was whatever dream I had, he's like, yeah, well, I'll help you. So, again, that's kind of what I'm thinking. And I wanted to be here today to let y'all know that's kind of the way I'm thinking. So you can start kind of turning it around in there.
From my perspective, good civil guy like Bob, he's been such a big help for us. And so
And I think
getting
the
another good
next
guy
person will be too.
Good.
I think you'll be, he's
I'll
hard
tell
of
you,
hearing, but he's smarter than all of us put together. Yeah.
earlier this year, I had some people bought some landlocked property out in Precinct 4. Had an easement through other property to get to their property, but they didn't like it. And they came to me with some sort of statute or law, said, we need you to take care of building or for an easement for a driveway across another person's property that was gonna be shorter to get to theirs. And brought all this stuff and everything. Well, I told him, I said, well, let's set up a meeting. You can come in, show me exactly what you want. I'll be glad to listen to you, see what we can do. I got Bob down there. When Bob walked in, it was just like the scriptural account, their countenance fell because they had some dealings with Bob when he was at Denton.
Oh,
so-
wow.
So anyway, he told him, he says, this law does not apply to this. The statute doesn't apply. You have an easement. We can't infringe on this other person's property for that. If you want to talk to him about giving you some property or buying some property for it, they left, haven't heard from them since. So
Well,
I thought that was classic. It was
I
classic.
can remember back in the day when ADA Will Thompson suddenly got tasked, Lowell Thompson, with handling all the civil stuff, the forfeiture stuff, because it came to light that Sheriff Tanner's people had seized a vehicle and we filed a case to forfeit it because it's being used in some, nefarious, conduct or what have you. And then it just kind of sat there because forfeiture was a collateral duty for somebody who's got a full caseload of prosecuting felonies. And it's, you don't have a judge saying, well, you're going to trial in 3 weeks on this. It's not the squeaky wheel. And then eventually this towing company called and said, hey, I've been storing this vehicle on my lot for 2 years. Y'all aren't going to do anything with it. I mean, I'd have done run up the bill and auction the thing off if I was saving it for anybody but y'all. And having Bob can cut short a lot of headaches in a hurry. And it's real easy to say, well, just give that as an extra job to one of the prosecutors, but you get what you pay for. And it is a struggle when you're, trying to be ready on any of 4 or 5 different cases to go to jury trial every couple of weeks. And then they want you to handle some collateral thing. And, you know, in addition to that, we've also got, somebody's got to do juvenile, somebody has got to do appeals, somebody's got to do writs. There's all sorts of things other than get ready to go to court that are out there. And a lot of that civil stuff, it's a whole different set of rules. And,
Not criminal.
yeah, and so it doesn't happen very quickly when you get somebody who doesn't do it all
Well,
the
the other thing
time.
is if you want us to move cases, you know, you gotta help us. You can't say, I want you knee deep in this and move cases.
Yeah, I know you're really busy on this case, but can you do this, work this? in?
Yeah, yeah,
And there's no shortage of.
And you have to change gears,
I've had
very
and
much.
it's hard
twice in the
here.
last 2 days, I have gotten a call, the cop says, I need a warrant to go get them to ping somebody's cell phone so that we can find some guy who's got a warrant for sexual assault of a child, and we think he has the child with him. Okay, that's a kind of right now thing,
Yeah.
okay? And that's a right now thing for 2 hours. You know, and there's something like that, you know, almost every day. And I cannot wait to just go back and sit around and watch Carrie.
Same.
Bag of
Really, a lot of
popcorn.
people feel that way.
Put a drink in your hand.
Yeah, so anyway, I'll quit, I'll get off my
So,
soapbox.
and just for my edification, because I've been trying to get all these budgets done and judges may apply you.
Mhm.
How is the juvenile board allocation? Like, I know part of your salary, you get the juvenile board stipend or, and then I know Judge Lago and Judge Putnam has it. I know, is it set by the state or how does that
It's
number?
set by the county, although as I think about this,
Seems like everybody's number's different, so I'm just kind of figuring out, I don't know.
really, I didn't know they were different. I thought they were all the same. So
I did too.
That's news to me, but it's set by the county.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Okay, the state doesn't say that this judge gets this and the DA gets that. And I've always known it was to be the same. I do vaguely remember hearing something about if it's more than a certain amount, then the state is gonna start docking the judges our regular
Pay.
pay.
Yes, sir.
I read that too, and I'm like, well, it's somewhere in the back of my mind what that says, but
I can do some research. I'll try to read. I just want to, as I budget everybody's budget. So the juvenile board is you, Judge Lago, Messina, Judge Putnam, Judge Carnahan. Is it?
Is county judge on the juvenile board?
I don't know.
I thought Judge
Yes.
Davenport was. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Mhm.
And so so I just didn't know who else was a part of the.
I think
I think that's
it's
it,
just the
yeah.
4 of us that are on board that are getting paid. Now,
Okay.
the board also has like some
Discretion.
public members or whatever, but I don't think they get paid.
I'm taking that now. Don't be getting greedy.
I just want to make sure that when we budget it, we say there's some equal budgeting going on and not one versus the other. So that's what I saw, at least in some of the data, I was seeing some discrepancies. So I was going to bring it to your attention,
Yeah.
Judge, just to make sure we're allocating the budget accordingly. If the county's paying 100% of it, then it's kind of a county thing.
Right.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
it is county money.
Yes, sir.
In that same vein, I'm unfamiliar with SB 22. Can you elaborate on that? I mean,
Okay.
are those state funds, county funds?
Those are state funds, okay? And 4 years ago-ish, the legislature passed this bill to help rural counties, law enforcement in rural counties be more pay competitive, okay? Part of the reason it was so hard for us to recruit is the same lawyer can go do the same job in Waxahachie, and I had a bunch of them do it for $20,000 a year more money.
Sure.
And then go to Tarrant County for $40,000 a year more money. Okay? And so they passed this bill that basically says if you apply for it and all you have to do is apply, there's no real criteria unless you've been a bad boy or a bad county or something. There's a segment of it that is for the sheriff's office. Sheriff's office gets $500,000 a year. There's a segment for prosecutors And it's tiered by how big the county is. If the county is less than 10,000 people, it's a certain amount of money. If it's 10 to 50, it's a certain amount of money. When you're over 50, you're capped out. And if you're over 300, you don't get it. Okay, so we were just over 50,000, and so we get the top tier amounts, $275,000 a year. That's allocated, but it can only be used to pay assistant district attorneys, victim assistance coordinators, and investigators. Can't use it to pay the office manager or whatever. And I don't know, some of them just got absolutely paranoid that we would suddenly make all the paralegals victim assistance coordinators. And so we've got to swear in blood that they really do victim coordinate. Anyway. And then there's also a section of it for constables, but to be eligible for the constables have to be out like actually making traffic stops and doing criminal stuff, which in like Harris County, they do. I mean, the Harris County Sheriff's or constables offices are hundreds and hundreds of deputies, and they probably write more tickets than the sheriff's office does. Ours don't, so it's kind of a non-issue for us. But every year, this time of year, we have to send this ungodly burdensome compliance report to the comptroller's office, where every penny of SB 22 money, what that person got paid the year before, how much of it was SB 22 money, what they got paid this year, how much it was SB 22 money, how much got sent to Social Security, how much SB 22 money got sent to Social Security to cover for the part of their salary that was SB 22 money. It's a freaking nightmare.
No free lunches.
Oh, yeah. 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 There's times that I really wonder if that headache is worth it, but we've struggled through, and I will say the auditor's office has been a huge help in that. Because, when I go through this, I'm kind of like, well, okay. So like I said up front, I just take that 275 and I drop it down to 215, because that way I know all that FICA fee, all that other crap is covered, and I don't worry about it. I say, okay, this attorney is going to get $10,000 SB 22 money, and we're done. Well, that don't cover what they want in the report, not by a long shot.
Right.
So, does that help you?
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Yeah.
conceptually, it's about the same as the state supplement money, which got implemented, I think, shortly before I came here in 07. It was just 10% of the dollars. They just said, state's going to help out, to kind of make us more pay competitive. And so they send us $27,000 a year. It's not quite as onerous, of course, not as much money.
Right. Well, thank you.
We use the SB 22 for the sheriffs on their STEP program. So we went over it on Tuesday.
Right.
morning. But all that money gets absorbed through the STEP program that we implemented in the sheriff's office last year. Or 2 years
Before
ago.
that.
Okay.
Yeah, 2 years ago.
It also goes back to, I said that over the years, we've gotten where different people were like really different, unbalanced in terms of how much county money, how much SB 22 money, because we've made these adjustments and then they were coming back and even everything out. So you had some people that getting, 30,000 less in county money, but 30,000 more in SB 22 money, and then other people getting no SB 22 money. One of the things about the SB 22 money is if you don't spend it during that fiscal year, you got to send it back. Okay. So we set something up, say, okay, this attorney is going to get paid $10,000 in SB 22 money. Well, when that attorney leaves and that position sits vacant for 4, 5, 6 months.
So we need to adjust.
Okay. We don't have to send that money back. So you don't, and you're never going to make, I'm not going to jump in every time and say, okay, never mind. Let's rearrange it, what have you. But you don't want to have something where it's the spot that just happened to be allocated a bunch of SB 22 money. So there's a value in sort of keeping those more or less evened out.
What open positions do you currently, I know you said you have a few out of these attorneys. Are these all filled positions?
No.
Which ones are open?
Well, tomorrow is Miss Londano's last day. So as of Monday,
Yes, sir.
there will be me, 4 felony prosecutors. So there's 2 vacancies there.
I can just highlight 2 and just color coded just as vacancies.
Yes,
Okay.
and one of the misdemeanor prosecutors is vacant.
Yes, sir. And then on this is everybody.
Actually, go back to that.
Yes, sir.
The 4 felony prosecutors includes the first assistant. Okay, so there's 3 vacancies in felony prosecutor spots.
Okay.
Because the first assistant spot's vacant too. Not that one, but the first assistant.
Well,
spot.
I have to have the first assistant,
Oh, I
so
see, I'm sorry.
somebody got named first assistant, Miss
Oh, okay.
Slayton.
No, not to get
Okay.
numbered.
But including the first assistant, we have 4 felony prosecutors. Me,
Okay.
the first assistant, 3 felony prosecutors, and 1 misdemeanor prosecutor.
And then on this slide,
At Bob.
uh,
All the paralegal spots are, those are all filled.
okay, investigators. And that.
Yeah.
Perfect. I just want to make sure we.
Yep.
when we budget.
Right.
I guess as we budget, we don't expect to fill those positions until January 1st or just so, because obviously if we go a quarter without them in the budget, those are that's 400 grand. I'm just using round numbers.
Right.
That's 400 grand right there. But the 100 grand we're not in essence using in one quarter.
Mhm.
Our
I'm
favorite
curious,
trend
I'm
is
curious.
hiring.
I've got a question that this is just a brainstorm. It's just something for all of us to think about was those positions that are, I'm just wondering if is a signing bonus just a crazy idea? Because I'm just thinking about getting lawyers. Sorry, that's my alarm. I'm just thinking about getting quality, because I know that's an issue, because it's like Will said, they can go to Waxahachie and make more. I'm just wondering about, I'm just thinking out loud, it just popped in my head that, what if we have some monies that a signing bonus or somebody
Because they have laws
that's
that
trying to
you can't do
decide.
that. And I'll tell you that the shortage of prosecutors is rampant.
Sure, sure, I know it's
We're not
true
talking
now.
about that by a long way.
I can tell you, what I've learned coming from the outside into this, there's so many rules that you would think, well, if we just did this, we could solve that problem. And then I've learned that you can't do that.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, you get an
bullet to the
idea,
head,
it's
you
like,
can't do
oh,
that. So,
shoot you down, huh? Yeah.
I learned a lot about.
I start brainstorming with you, guys.
So I just know that we talked about it because this is a office similar to the treasurer's office. If we can start to hire here, it helps us.
Well, I
right?
want us to be,
It's just a crazy, like similar to what we
Mhm.
talked about with the treasurer office judge, like how do we deal with this in the 3 months, given the fact that 9/30 is our budget year in January
well, and
1st?
then the
Right.
concern they have is that it's taking a job where you don't know, first of all, if you're gonna be offered a job
Yes,
come
ma'am.
January 1. So, I think if we're gonna try to hire for those positions, and I've already got a first assistant, but I think if we're gonna hire for those vacant positions, I'd like to have input, so that if they come, they know they're gonna, I just would be nervous to take a job without having met the person who's gonna
Sure.
be deciding whether I stay or not. Come January, you
Yeah.
take a job in September,
nobody
not knowing,
Nobody's gonna do that.
no,
Unless you-
unless they're desperate, right?
Unless you.
Yeah, it'd be
have to say-
questionable at best.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Which I know Will's, he's talked to me about who he's talking, not who, but,
Mhm.
some of the candidates. So, I'd like to be involved in that process just because I think it'll make a difference in who's willing to come, is if they know that they have the blessing of, they're gonna still have a job January 1.
Well, that's some between you and I. And, we can, we can talk about it at the same time, I guess that's your perspective. My perspective is you haven't looked at the trial.
I know,
calendar.
you've told me that, yeah, that they're
December.
holding his feet to the fire.
Yeah,
But then, then are we seeking out more trials instead of, I don't know. I think we gotta figure out how to do it where it's most effective use of money, which is what y'all care about,
Right.
as you should.
Yeah, we can just work with it. I'll have this all built in. It was just an operational question,
Of course, and it's
Yeah,
a great one.
it-
It's a great one.
It's, it's different than the treasurer's office insofar as the elected official is currently in a position in the office.
Yes, sir. That's great.
The soon to be elected official. So,
Yeah. So yeah, we can work that out. I just, 'cause that's $100,000 that in essence would be rolled to, and then we just need to be really smart on that because of the like Will talked about with the SB 22 money.
You know, and my other concern, Charlie, is that the numbers that Will gives me and the numbers that I got from the treasurer's office aren't the same on what these people are making, so I.
We can do a record.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah,
We've
I
got a
wanna-
big salary list and that's where I'm at.
just.
kind of a sanity check.
Yes.
Yeah, I just need to schedule a time where we
Yes,
can
ma'am.
sit down and make sure,
Yes.
you know, because some of these people, you know, are so demanding that are coming to work for me that they
I wouldn't know
a dollar
wouldn't know
amount they
anything
need, I know. Lawyers, I hate them.
Yes, ma'am. That's why I love accountants. But yes, we can do that. I'll make sure before we leave
Thank you,
today, we
Charlie.
schedule time. Okay. There's some reconciliation that I need to come back to you guys on this.
Well,
to
yeah,
put in there.
I mean, my
But-
perspective, you know, it'd be worthwhile to perhaps explore the signing bonus option if that's even something we'd be allowed to do within our
Just if we're gonna have
constraints.
that money, you know what I
Um,
mean? That some of it is gonna have to be expended too, is my understanding.
And determining what, Mr. Thompson needs currently, if you absolutely need to have some person in place, I think I would prefer that it would be done in coordination with Ms. Donica. But also, you know, if we're not gonna bring new people until January 1, if we do good enough on the salary where it is competitive, even if it's at a 75% clip, then I think we should be covered. The signing bonus, I don't know, I can go either way on that.
Well, it's just something for,
Yeah.
it just
No,
popped into my head.
I'm not against the idea, don't get me
Yeah,
wrong.
right.
Aside from that, there's already a bunch of money that's budgeted for attorney spots that have been empty for months. It's not like we just had those 4 vacancies happen
Right, yeah.
last week.
That's a
No,
great
that's
point,
great
Bill.
point.
That's a
Okay.
great point.
Yeah.
There's
Right.
already money that was budgeted that wasn't
Yeah,
spent,
That's right.
okay?
That's right.
And, you know, Harry's been great about, you know, working with me and I've tried to be as transparent. We've met, gone
Yeah,
over
I
some
mean,
of the
it's-
sheets or what have you, but
It's right here.
I'm not gonna stop trying to recruit people between now and the end of the year.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's right here, guys. I mean, this is through yesterday, his burn. I mean, he's got $304,000.
Mhm.
He's only 60% through his budget and we only got 2 more pay periods or 3 more pay periods left.
right.
So this actually includes the pay period that you guys are gonna get. So he's got a lot in there, is what he said.
Right.
You know, but I just said, Carrie, I need to make sure you know that we only start people because we want to make everything hard. We only start people on the 1st or the 15th.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
So it almost like if you want to kick everybody off on January 1st, you have to have them
I'm
recruited
not
by
gonna do
December.
that.
You know, I'm just saying like,
Sure.
just from even your first assistant or those, we need to make sure the paperwork's all in prior to January 1st.
Right, and I talked to,
Julie.
yeah, I mean, just on the phone,
Yes,
I haven't ever found it here,
Yes,
so.
ma'am.
I come at the worst time.
let me see if I can ask this question this way. When somebody quits on, well, heaven forbid, maybe like the 8th
Mhm.
or the 22nd, are we able to extrapolate how much they should have gotten paid, even though it's not a full pay period?
It's a very complex situation, though, because we actually pay current. So when you get paid, we funded payroll yesterday. That's actually for the 15th, which means if you were to tell me today, hey, I'm out, I'm done, I'm not gonna work tomorrow, you would actually have to owe us back money. It's, most people and most businesses are paid a week in arrears or 2 weeks in arrears and pay period arrears, so you can do the adjustment. Here in Navarro County, we funded payroll yesterday, money went out of our account for time today, tomorrow, and that's on Saturday. So it's weird like that. So if you quit at the very end of a payroll cycle, you're gonna get your paycheck, it's gonna be full, but you gotta pay us back for like 2 days, 1 day, stuff like that. So if you quit on the 8th, we can try to get it in before payroll goes out. You've only been paid through the 8th. But we have to submit it to the bank 4 or 5 days before. We got to start the payroll process. And then it's got to go through the HR, it's got to come through my office, and it's got to go to Treasury, all within a 24, 48, 36-hour period before we tell Prosperity, take it.
And again, that's our old
We're
system.
moving away from that, but that is our current system.
Good, that was gonna be my follow. You know, especially when talking about yesterday with, timekeeping issues, you know, well, not issues, but processes and possible pain points in doing that.
So I mean, we would like to go, there's been a lot of talk to go to an every other week payroll cycle instead of twice a month. So there's 26 payroll periods instead of 24 payroll periods.
That's what the city did.
And so I mean, this is not my decision. There's just talks of that going out there. And then also doing it where you're always a week in arrears. So you can make adjustments. And if you do work 5 days into the next period, we know what it is, we cut it off, and that's your final
Well,
paycheck.
it's always difficult to recoup money if you're
Yes, sir, it
asking
is.
someone who's quit to give you back money. So you pretty much never recoup that.
It's just so much better, because regardless of what software you have, the bank wants direct deposits 3 days before, you know.
Nobody wants to wait till the 15th for us to fund it.
Well, then you become a debt collector with former employee, and that's,
So it's not fun. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, he deals with it. We try to get it all in. We try to get it processed in time, but it's tough. I mean, if you're on that day and the payrolls kind of start to go out, I can't stop Prosperity to say, hey, I need $58 back on $1.5 million payroll run.
And you can't stop just one check. You have to stop the entire direct deposit pile.
We learned that.
Thank y'all. Thanks for letting me have input. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Terry. Absolutely.
Oh, please, please. And I know that one over in the corner knows how to find it.
I don't have time.
All right, thank you.
Thank you all.
Yes, thank you.
Will.
Yeah, exactly. No, you don't anymore.
That's right.
No, really
It's a
don't.
secret. Why do you think she moved?
I'm in a estate sale at my old house right now, but I'm like, I don't even do that. I ain't there.
Gary, you know that you can go to the appraisal district and have them not put your
I
address.
think I have. I think I have. I told them.
Thank you, Will.
All right.
All right. Fun and exciting.
Moving on, I've got next on the list, Jana Miller.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Juvenile
How are
probation.
y'all?
So we're gonna just talk about this one.
Okay.
It's pretty straightforward. Jenna, maybe judges, this is obviously his first time, so he doesn't quite
Yes.
understand how your pay, how your department's paid is in funding and stuff like that. So maybe elementary education, I don't mean to say that.
No, it won't be offensive to me. Yeah.
So, just kind of explain how, because some of these departments now, we've gotten through a lot of our core departments other than you guys. We've got the Mike's department and county clerk, but some of these are state funded. If we pick up a piece, we run the payroll or we have to do a gap pay. And there's been a lot in juvenile this year that Miss Jana has done incredible working because we've got some juveniles in the system. And so we're trying to wait for payment from the state, but we got to fund payroll. And so we kind of, I'm gonna say, we do a bridge loan out of the general fund, make sure she's covered. And then when she gets the state funds, we kind of refund it back. So I'm sure I didn't say all that right, Jen, but please.
You got it mostly right.
Yes, ma'am. I really like Jen, because she's an advocate, so she gets whatever she wants.
No, that's not true. Absolutely not true.
Just gonna say this.
Well, we'll forgive you. As long as you got your education, I don't care where it's from. That's why I tell my kids. Okay, so this is my first time to be here for one of these meetings. And I actually didn't get my
It's my
budget
fault. Yes,
until
ma'am.
this morning.
Yes. One of those that I thought went out after
Oh.
you were the DA. I apologize.
Yeah, and I'm not great at all this, so you're gonna have.
I'm gonna help you all the way through. You
Okay.
just keep
I
rolling.
did want to let you guys know that, and I've got the numbers here somewhere. that, because we had so many felony kids this fiscal year, that we needed to get off the streets of Corsicana. I did apply for, RDA grants, which is a grant that is, given by the state. And, those pay for the full, placement cost of a child. So that is money that I don't even have enough in my budget to send one kid to placement. So it's really good to have these RDA funds, and it only qualifies for felony offenders. So I ended up getting $400,061. I can't even say this. That's too big of a number.
461,000. I always
There you
just kind
go.
of round it.
461,000.
461,000.
Okay, I'll get it right. Too many zeros for me. That's my Aggie side. In placement funds, which we put 7 kids in placement. And that's where we're kind of talking about the money. We ended up being light because we had 126,000 sitting out because the state hadn't gotten back to us yet. And what we do is on the 10th of each month, we have to send in a reimbursement request for the month before. So we're always a month behind getting payment on those RDA funds. So that's kind of where we got stuck this time. And based on the fact that I have kids in detention. Currently, I have a kid that's been in detention because CPS won't take the kid and the parents won't take the kid. So today we are actually going to release that child to a grandparent. But it's hard to get family to take some of these kids that are assaulted, and this one was an assaulted case. And so he has been in detention for like 40 days. So that's funds that we don't count on because it's supposed to be our fault. It's supposed to be a CPS thing. But we try to work with CPS and getting some of these kids taken care of. So we have also, I have just terminated an employee. I did it on the 31st. I think that's a good thing.
This makes sound great to me.
Okay. And the next one won't start until the 17th. So I think I got my dates right there for y'all.
Now, not everybody you hire, we pay for 100%, correct?
Not true.
We do pay for,
They're half
There's
and half.
split on, state funds
okay,
and us.
County.
but the state funds come through us and we still administer that. whole
Yes, we
payroll.
pay the payroll.
Okay.
Yes.
That's right. So we are budgeted from the state and we get money from the county. The state tells us they're gonna take away about 3% right off of the supervision portion of our budget. So we're gonna be fighting with that.
Meaning they're gonna reduce your salaries by 3%
Or
or
we're gonna reduce
the
the
overall?
overhead, the complete overall
Okay,
State aid.
by 3%.
They
State
have,
aid.
what you're looking at here is the budget for general fund. We have to do a match for them to get their funds from the state.
Mhm.
This year, we barely made it. They're on a, September to August here. And, I mean, like for one person, it's about $4,200 to put them in placement. And so,
$200 a month?
yes,
I just wanna make sure we
yes,
say that.
$4,200 a month.
Yes, a month.
For one child.
So in essence, just because we're all talking about the same thing, y'all know it like that. So if a child goes in to placement, it's $4,200 a month. In essence, the county's responsible for half. We're
No.
responsible for the whole thing.
Well, like for instance, this one that I'm talking about, we pay it and then
Okay.
we get reimbursed because she was actually able to get a grant for this one. They
Okay.
usually, sometimes they don't get the grant. And the state gives us funds to pay for that.
Okay.
But, the state aid is even cutting that money 3% this year.
So what happened, at some point, does the state say, hey, you've got everything you got, the county's responsible for $4,200 a month? You put 10,
would be,
you put
yes.
10 kids in,
Because they have to be paid for regardless. She's gonna get the kids regardless.
right, because you've got to send them somewhere. We don't have
And
facilities here, obviously.
The other facilities are full and not gonna take them, and so they're juveniles, so we have to pay for them. You know, it's kind of like the jail. And, unfortunately, you know, they're in the same situation as adult probation, but adult probation gets tons of funding. Like they got extra money twice this year. And they get raises and merit pay. These ladies don't get anything. And, so they definitely need, you know, the 3% that she's requesting for her people. And there's only 3 of them and an admin assistant. And if you look over there at their building, there's constantly people over there. And, I just feel bad for them. I mean, they're like the rejects, it feels like, for the state. And like this year, we've had to write 2 checks for 44,000 just to cover the bills that are coming in because we haven't got the money back from the state. It's coming, but they're slow. They're in no hurry. You know that as the state. But, so we're gonna have to, our match is usually like 108,000. That's what we have to match. But this year, we're gonna have to add more to that because we've already have to help them. They're cutting what they already give juvenile at now they're cutting that at 3% more. So I just don't want them to be in a hole and then us have to come in later and ask for more, because we may have to do that anyway, but we need to start off with more in there than we already have.
Yeah. But it was an advisory kind of expect a 3% reduction after this coming session kind of a deal, or?
Yes, the legislative budget board,
Right.
which we do go to the legislative sessions and talk about these things. What I got was 3% budget cut, and it's coming off of basic probation supervision. And, we haven't gotten like a letter or anything
Sure.
yet for me to show you. These were just what they were telling us kind of in the beginning.
Yeah, no, I think that's accurate. You know, from what I recall, that's, you know, everyone's been getting those letters.
Yes, sir.
As far as
That's
the 3%, because we're expecting a deficit in this upcoming legislative budget.
Well, they're expecting recidivism to work. Recidivism is reoffending, and they're projecting that we're gonna have less juveniles in the system.
Pie in the sky, isn't it?
Right.
That might be in other counties. But they're-
So,
We transport juveniles, I know, because we send them to Lubbock, right, or other places.
Well, we don't send them to Lubbock if we don't have to,
Okay.
but we do send them to
Other places.
Smith County, Granbury.
So how does
Trace.
transport, because I mean, you have nothing in here in transport. Who pays
Okay,
for
so
transport?
we don't transport because, we don't do that.
Right. So you do, it, right?
Well,
So
they don't do all of it. The last but juvenile board,
Who else does it?
the city. It's supposed to be whoever catches the fish, cleans the fish, is exactly what Judge Lago said. So if the sheriff were to, pick up a kid, then they would transport. If the city picks up a kid, then they would transport.
That's the way it's supposed to be.
is that the way it works,
That's the
Sheriff?
way
or
it's
no?
Is that in reality?
And that's the way it's been.
That's the way it's supposed to
You saying that's
So that's
not
a
the way, that's
jurisdictional
not the way
issue.
it works?
be. If Dawson PD picks up one, I'm not familiar that they're taking them. If
Okay.
Blooming Grove, if frost, well, there's no frost. You
Yeah.
know, and there have been some scenarios in the past where there's been a juvenile taken to the juvenile probation authority from the city, and there's an initial hearing, and he goes to us, but I believe those issues have been worked out. If you're familiar with, you catch them, you clean them, that's the way it's supposed to be. So, now, if the city of Corsicana apprehends a juvenile and they're taken to they take them to probation, and there's a detention, further detention that's ordered, and they take them to a facility, when they come back after a 10-day, for their 10-day hearing, and they're remanded, the sheriff's office takes everything then.
We have been doing that.
But I'm saying if that's the case, if that happens, that's the case, then the sheriff's office takes them back.
CPD has been doing all the detention hearing. If they have a kiddo, they've been taking them even to placement. So we haven't really, called on the sheriff's department too much because things changed and that was the way it was done. Now, the one
That's
today,
correct. Things changed.
yes, things
correct.
changed. But
We were getting it all.
they were getting it all. And that was done even before my time.
Mhm.
That was not something that Sheriff Tanner and I put into place. That was something that was done previous to me. So we have changed it. So now it's you catch them, you clean them. We don't really get very many from those little towns. The last little town, they did transport theirs. But it wasn't like to placement or anything in multiple detention hearings. They transported to the place and then they transported the child back to us and the child was released. But we haven't had those kind of calls from Frost and any of the other agencies.
On this, Judge, I think we'll just continue to work through the final budget. We'll work with Natalie to make sure that, with your guidance, we'll look at it obviously next week when we have all the numbers.
Yeah.
But I think I'm hearing you saying, make sure it's covered, make sure she's.
Yeah, I think at a minimum stair step it, because I think if they make a change in this session, it won't be effective till September.
And that may be true.
And so I'm not saying, you don't deserve it or anything, just for proper, we maybe don't have to do the full 3% right now, but we should work towards that or at least identify where we need to be to.
You're talking about the overall budget, the decrease.
Well, to account for any loss of funds from the
Keep
state.
it funded.
Right.
Yeah, we want to keep it funded.
Yeah. Okay.
And I wanted to let you all know that, I have just submitted a grant for 375,000. I'm getting it right. Which includes quite a few things, to include, some preventative courses, some, ability to do some, like psychiatry and psychologicals, that kind of thing, via telehealth.
Mhm.
We also have never had vehicles, so we use our own vehicles. We do transport kids from placement when they have completed successfully. We go and make placement visits throughout their time in placement. We don't transport anybody to placement because they're usually not very happy and we're not able to handle
It's
that.
not a
But
safe environment.
no, it's not for us. And so we have requested 2 vehicles that this would cover as well for us to use to go get kids from placement and to do all that. Cause we don't ask the CPD or the sheriff to go get anybody from placement. We do that ourselves.
You're gonna be like minivans.
No, these are SUVs. They're Ford Explorers.
Did I miss a connection? So the grant would be to cover that?
Yes,
Man, that'd be awesome.
yes.
And by the way, thank you for doing all these grant applications.
Oh, absolutely.
It's really a big deal for us and it really helps out our community to get funds that are available to us.
Yes, sir. Well, anything that we can reach out for, we are trying to do. Because we are a small county, we are considered a small county. And, I want to help us out and help the community out as much as possible. And we've had several little felons running around creating quite havoc in the city. And so we were able to, send those kiddos off and get them in placement. And we've had 3 that have returned successful so far. They're continuing. The honeymoon period is still going on. So they're behaving. So I really believe that our department has done a really good job with obtaining those grants and getting those kids sent to placement and keeping up with them in placement. And, of course, we supervise outside of placement. So, I'm proud of my department.
How many kids a year goes through your department? Just
It varies.
roughly.
This year, we had 200 that came in, and not necessarily all those went through placement. You know, like I said, we only had 7 that were felonies that went through placement. But we had about 200 kids that came through.
Feral kids.
Some feral, some not so feral. Um,
When you say placement, where do they actually go?
I've got one in Grayson right now. I've got one in Rockdale. I did have 2 of those 7 in Granbury. I now just have 1. We have one in the Oaks, which is right next door to Brownsville. It's kind of a neat place because the fence, the razor wire fence, is shared with the Oaks. So they can see TJJD right there. It's kind of a scared straight kind of thing, but from the other side of the fence.
Yeah.
You know, this is where you're going if you don't complete placement, that kind of thing.
Nothing 50, 100 miles away from us.
We have the ability to use Harris County, which is, 150.
Yeah.
But we have not, because we haven't had anybody that qualifies. Theirs is free to us, but they have to have been, the felony has to have occurred against a person. It has to contain a gun. I mean, it's all kinds of different little things that they require for us to send the child to their placement. So we haven't had anybody that has fit those qualifications, but Lubbock does have a great post facility. So if we ever have to use it, then we might have to, but we have been able to keep everybody close.
Thank you.
Do y'all have any other questions of our department? I know, like I said, I haven't been here in this capacity before, so if there's any
We
other
appreciate
questions.
what y'all do and
Well, thank you.
certainly appreciate you applying for the grants.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
make it self-sustaining.
We're trying.
Yes.
We want to have very little help. We just needed some this year.
Sure.
Those grants didn't quite fill the bill for all the things we were doing. And this other grant will help us do things in the community versus having to send kids to placement, because we're not always going to have those grants, and we're going to need to
Absolutely.
handle
Can't
some
rely
of
on-
those kids
Yeah.
in the community. So we were just very, very blessed this time to be able to receive those grants.
When will you know about the 300?
Next week.
Okay, great.
So if you see the
Yeah.
building shaking over there,
Hear a lot of noise over there.
yeah, if you hear some noise, just some,
Will you just let myself and Judge know if you
Absolutely.
successful?
Yeah.
That way we can kind of
absolutely. I'll be
push it
letting
to the
everybody know.
good.
Well, I guess that reminds me, just on a procedure aspect, when it comes to grants,
Yes, sir.
are those run through your office for,
They are.
Yes, sir.
okay, so.
The money will be sent to him, and then we have the
progress
requirements.
reports,
Yes.
requirements.
We have the requirements that
Yes, sir.
we would have to do, and Natalie and I will work that out.
Wonderful. That's,
Yeah, that is our compliance person.
She is, she
across-
keeps us in check.
I mean, there's a lot between your juvenile or adults, HIDA, and, all the forfeitures. There's a lot of compliance reports that happen on a monthly basis.
Yeah.
If we don't do, we get in trouble with,
Well, and we'll do our part to make sure that she has
Oh, yeah, you
the
guys
needed
did great.
information
you're great.
to be able to keep in compliance with those.
right.
So I can get Natalie to help me with my Turk grant
No,
on
you did
disposing
great.
of those old tractors.
You did great at
Well, I think you ought to. I mean,
Hey, you gotta bring some grant, because last one you
Hey,
did,
well-
you brought one in and we have to do a lot of work and we don't get.
Yeah, Yeah, I was not,
Yeah, no, so you get to keep her.
I was not told that though.
Yeah.
Well,
We like grants,
we
but
had
there's an
fun knocking the
administrative
hole, we had fun knocking the holes in the engine block of these two tractors.
I'm just like, you're on probation.
I'm on probation.
Can I come knock a few holes in
Oh,
that? I would love to do that.
it's already done. We're just
You
waiting.
can
to
do
do
another
it.
hole or two.
But we got to do a yearly, the equipment that replaced those two, we got to do a yearly report on those, the hours it was used, the percentage of time it was used in Navarro County, et cetera, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yes,
Thank you all
thank you. It was nice
for listening.
meeting
Thank
you.
you.
It's good to meet you all. Some of you I know, but it was good to meet everybody else. Thank you.
Thank you.
So you want to take a quick bathroom break? and-
Yeah, let's do that.
Get my-
Let's take 5. That work? Recess for 5.